guys, we'll do the 3-2-1. This is Nicky Kolaric. This is our captain for our first team. This is a guy who's, lived it and breathed it. He's been playing football since what? How old?
Yeah, like 4 probably around there.
Yeah. So we're getting to 3 decades, man. 3 decades of playing at a very, very high level. It's hard to play for 3 decades at a hard level, at a high level, and you're doing it. And we're proud of it, and we're so thankful for you to spend some time with the guys, and with any coaches, any players that are out there, any families that are listening. You know, this guy's our first team captain, and he's led the team through 3 campaigns right now, and this is the 4th campaign, right?
Yep, correct.
Coming up. And so this is Nicky's highlights, and you can see this is him a couple years ago when at the start of the video you can see him. This is probably at our place, right? This is probably a Founders.
Yeah, definitely a Founders for sure.
Definitely a Founders, looking good. He's ready to rock and roll here. Let's hit play right here, guys, and we can watch it. First team all conference, second team, North Atlantic region, which is consistent of, probably 10, 12, 15 states.
Yep.
All the Division I schools that are in those states, and you come off with a ripper from about 25 to start off with, 28 from that angle. I mean, and he can score from a variety of ways, variety of positions and different techniques. Of course, going against his body as well. That's a difficult technique. Great first touch, and creates his little space, and against the grain again. Low, difficult to save. He gets inside the box. He can score with inside of the foot, laces. He can score with the outside of the boot with a great first touch. I mean, great first time finish. Fox in the box, what we would call him.
Little poacher.
Yeah, but a guy that can. Now, this is just class. I think this is just complete class. The ball is great to begin with, and then, I mean, there's just one word to describe that, and that's class. Tough with the sunlight, but I think it goes off the post and you're ready to rebound, huh? This is just a fantastic goal. Great technique. So difficult. Makes it look easy. And then that ball, I think the highlight tape gets better, man. I don't know if that's something that you planned or you wanted. I do think it gets better.
Yeah, I don't think I planned that, but I'm glad to hear that. I mean, this was a while ago too, so
sure.
I haven't seen it in a while, to be honest. So it's cool, like revisiting.
Well, it only gets better with time, man. It only gets better with time. Nice little creative back heel. And he's just showing in this highlight video, he's showing everything he can do. I mean, he can head, he can run in behind, he can hit with the laces or the outside of the boot to at least question the goalkeeper. He can play in behind with a textured ball. I mean, he's again heading on goal or making the goalkeeper make a save. He can play with the outside of the boot, 60 yards down to 50, 60 yards. He can link up. He can dribble to find maybe a free player on the backside. I mean, the tape is showing a variety of skills. And a lot of the guys who are listening, Nicky, are guys that, look, he's shown the defensive side and the strength to win the ball back in the back half. He's showing skill, a roller coaster, Maradona, and then a 70-yard ball on the money. He's shown his transition and his ability to win the ball back again. And then, of course, he can crack from distance. He can clip. He can keep possession. He can put his soul on the ball. He can tell everybody I'm in control, and he can deliver and get us out, get his team out. He can play in tight spaces. And he can intercept. I mean, this is a complete player. That's what he's shown on the highlight video. And a lot of these guys that are listening are thinking about going to college here very, very soon. So they're putting their videos together. He can intercept. He can show just a ton of skill to keep it and then draw a foul in the opponent's half. And he can bring others in.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody listening, obviously, like the highlight tape doesn't have to be just goals. It can be whatever you think you look good in that moment, whether it's defending or transition or passes. So
Exactly. Now we're gonna pause in here in a second, but that's Nicky in the first row, bottom row in the middle, and then just pause it right there when you see his opponents. Maybe just go back to Nicky's team there. Talk about, I'm gonna just roll that. It's about a 448, 447, 448. Go back to 447, you can see. And you want to talk to the guys about this experience?
Yeah. This experience was really cool. So back then it was called the PDL, but now it's USL2. It's right below the Riverhounds, I'm pretty sure now. Correct, Dan?
Yeah, it's a couple. It's probably two levels lower. Yeah.
Okay. So this was in 2014. I was a senior in college, and a lot of college kids play their NPSL or USL2 in the summer to keep playing and get seen by professional scouts and all that stuff. And I had the privilege of playing with a team called the Michigan Bucks. And we actually made it all the way to the championship that year. And in the semifinal, we played a team from New Jersey, and the goalkeeper for them was Matt Turner. So, and obviously we all know
Yeah, if they keep it rolling, if you hit play now and get to the next team, yeah, you'll see Matt Turner. That was Nicky's opponent.
Yes, he's on the green team and obviously the goalkeeper. But we ended up beating them 2-1. Actually had a free kick assist against him, and we actually went on to win the USL2 championship that year. And that was big for me and obviously a bunch of my teammates. Just such a cool accomplishment, but also I think everybody from that team, there was like 20 of us. I think 18 of us played pro. So it was a pretty cool experience and obviously helped out in my career a lot.
I got to talk to you more about that experience because we want to talk about championship ways, things that that champions do that not people, maybe some other people don't do. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are close to being a champion, or they battle and they fight and they do a pretty good job their seasons, but it ends with a loss. I mean, only one team ends their season with a win, and that's such an important thing to talk about, how we get there. How do we get to become champions, and we got to applaud that. So I definitely want to come back to that, Nicky, for a second. Yeah. But guys, if you just keep it rolling here, you'll see more goals, and these goals are. We saw some goals from the NPSL, our first team. And then you'll eventually come to the goal of the year. So everybody, let's get to that video and just go to 520. Maybe 520 on the video here, guys. Yeah, I got it. Let me know when you're there, Nicky.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. So I'm going to hit play now. And this is a pretty important goal for us against Syracuse, a cracker. And then, you're on the back post ready for any bad bounces. but good bounces for us. And then this happened to be a game-winning goal against Cleveland in the last campaign. I mean, this is what Nicky does. You can see he's on the team of the month as a midfielder there. And that was, I think, 2 seasons ago. And then 2 seasons ago, this cracker. Yeah, a stunner up at Buffalo. And that's what it means to him. And what a year you had there. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was a fun year.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Now, so getting to this Michigan Bucks again, sir. We got a championship team. What did you guys do on and off the field that was so important? That
yes.
Led the way.
So, just obviously everybody has to buy into the system and the way that everybody wants to play in there, and listen to the coach and take his ideas and what he has to say seriously, and come all together as a team. That's one. And then obviously every day at training, I mean, training was like playing a match. Every day we were going at it. Everybody gave 100%. There was no days off really when it came to training. And just the third thing I would say is we were so close as a group. And I really think like just hanging out with your teammates and getting to know them better and just being friends with them is huge and massive, because you're willing to fight for them when it comes down to it, maybe in say like the 90th minute. But I know Arsenal and Hotspurs have been doing like the tournament to Louisville City where you're riding on a bus and stuff and creating that team atmosphere. And I think that's huge. So those are like 3 things that I think helped us that season. And you can obviously add on to what you think as well, Coach.
Yeah, that's so good, man. I mean, when you're talking about camaraderie and loving your mate, loving the guy that sits with you on the bus or sits around you on the bus, and that time that you have traveling, and that time that you have a chance to go and go out to eat with the guys and eat your team meals, and then just going out and going to the local pizzeria and shooting the stuff over midnight, or over a nice evening, and just chatting with your buddies and all those experiences. And then, like you said, being on the field at training with the guys and just not taking a day off. Wow. I mean, some of these guys that are youth players, that, they get a lot on their plate. They're involved with so many things now. It's, multi-sports. And they got schoolwork and they got responsibilities. And sometimes they just aren't ready to perform at training. Any words of wisdom or advice that, that could help them understand how important it is to bring it every day in practice?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of go back to a moment in college when I was having a real bad day in the classroom and at school my freshman year, and I came to practice and had a pretty bad session, and my coach just pulled me aside, and this always stuck with me from that day. Just when you get on the field and you love footy, you love soccer so much, just put everything aside and just kind of create like your own little domain out there and just think, this is my time to get away and love the sport and put all my effort into this session or game and look at it that way. I know it's always helped me. So hopefully that's something you can take and carry on with you as well.
That's great advice. Great advice, Nicky. I mean, and then you made a point of listening to the coaches and listening to one another and respecting one another, and knowing that there's a certain style to play, and you want to play a certain style because you think it's effective, and and getting buy-in from everybody is critical. And so, you might have player, you're only gonna, what's the old adage? There's only going to be 11 players that are going to be happy at the end of the game. I mean,
yep.
You got 11 starters and the coach has to pick 11, and players 12 through 18 or 12 through 20, they might not get a lot of time. Any advice for player 12 through 20? Have you ever been in that position?
Yeah, definitely. I was in that my first year on the Riverhounds. I was low on the totem pole that year, and it is tough as a player coming into any situation like that, whether it's club, high school, college, pro, anything. I mean, it's tough kind of sitting the bench and watching the other guys on the team get run or be happy, but just put the work in and stick with it, have a good attitude, because the coach is going to see that, and eventually your work rate and your time working hard to get on the field is going to pay off, and you're going to get on the field and do well and hopefully stick in that 11. So I would just say stick with it and have a good mindset. And then on the other point where I said, trust the coach. I mean, for example, Dan has been my coach here for the MPSL team for the past 4 years. And, sometimes maybe we don't agree on something, but we talk it out, and he puts so much time and effort into this. He wants the best for us, for you, for me. So really trust what the coaches have to do and trust in them and their methods, because they know what they're talking about.
Nikki, you still there?
Yep. We all good?
Sorry about that, brother.
No worries.
I got absolutely knocked off there.
You're good.
Now, what do we got here? We have everybody back in. Let me check out my participants here.
Yeah,
we have everybody there. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. So I missed, sorry, the last 2 minutes there, but you were saying that not everybody's going to agree with the coach.
Yeah, I said it, have a talk man to man with the coach, and point out your idea to him, and he's going to point out his to you. And I just said, for example, you've been with me the past 3 years at the MPSL, and you put so much time and effort into it. You want the best for me and the players and the team. You're not trying to, create a bad game plan or bad training session. You're putting so much into it. So just trust the coaches at the club or wherever you're playing. That's huge, I think, for me. I've always found that it helps out my mindset and just the team in general. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just that as a coach, I just never understood it. I just never understood as a player. As a player, you're just thinking about, your performance. A lot of players are selfish and rightly so. I mean, they want to score goals and they want to get minutes. And there's this level of, just an inexperience when it comes to thinking about the whole team. I mean, you're not thinking about players, you're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about players 5 through. You might have your mates and you might have your starters but you're not thinking about everybody. I mean, the captain is, right? The captain is. The captain better be thinking about everybody. And the assistant captain better be thinking about everybody. We have captains sometimes that don't think about everybody. Now, let's talk about the captains and what the job of a captain is, because I think some people are confused. What do you think? What's your definition?
I mean, I think one, leading by example is huge, whether it's in training, off the field, or in a match. Your work rate, the way you carry yourself, The way that even somebody who isn't on the team looks at you and can say, yeah, that guy's leading the team, or he shows a good picture. And then the other part is, I would say, just being there for your teammates, whether somebody's struggling with playing time or their mindset, go up to them and ask them, or tell them ask for a text message from a teammate and tell them to reach out to you, and then maybe speak with them or the coach, and just be there for your teammates. So,
yep, that's really good advice, Nikki. I'm going to add two other things on there. Maybe the third one is kind of like it is the first one. I mean, he's talking about modeling. I mean, Nikki, you're spot on. You have to model the correct behavior, the correct attitude. The standards have to be high. You have to be, whatever position you play, you have to play it to the best ability, to the best of your ability. You got to be one of the glue guys on the team. You might not have the most goals. You might not be the guy that with the most assists necessarily, but you're a glue guy that's going to keep everything ticking along, and a guy that will not accept losing. It just won't. And the captain is going to hold that standard. He's going to hold the standard for himself, and he's going to hold the standard for everybody else too. And so he has to know what the 9 has to do. He might play as a 6, but he has to know what the 9 has to do. And he has to know not only his role, but the 7's role and the 11's role, and how it connects with the 9. And he has to be, or she has to be, an extension of the coaching staff. And then when you have that, you got something that's pretty powerful. Name for me you watch a lot of football still, right, Nikki?
Yeah, of course.
What a captain, or who do you think, what club has some of the best captains right now?
I mean, obviously international, I love Luka Modric for Croatia. I would say so.
Yep. What's he bring?
I mean, everything. Leads by example, leader, connects the defense to the forwards through the midfield. Just obviously his leadership, being a veteran, everyone looks up to him. I've watched like YouTube documentaries about him as well. He's like the bridge between the coach and the players.
Yep.
He's huge.
Yeah, that bridge between the coach and the players. As the players get older, they're going to find out, they might be 15, 16, 17. But, as you were alluding to when you said, you got to start listening to the coach. They do. I mean, 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds, they for the most part listen to the coach. But then, there's a part of us that we start developing, and we start getting our own, thankfully, we start getting our own ideas, and we start saying that we should be playing, we think that we should be playing a certain way. And maybe the player's way isn't necessarily the same as the coach's way. And so that captain has to, as you were alluding to, you were spot on there. That captain has to be a bridge and try to communicate back and forth. And often, you know how it is anymore, you have to have a leadership group, coaches, and it's not just one captain, right?
I mean, yeah, it's a group of guys.
So there's some players in here that I know that didn't get the captain's band, from their coach this year. And does that mean that they stop leading, that they stop setting the standards?
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
I mean, there's no way, right?
Mm-mm.
No way. So, you have to have some stick-to-itiveness, just like you were saying. You're not in the starting lineup when you first got to the Riverhounds, and then you just have to keep at it. And it's the same thing with you might not get the captain's armband, but you still have to model the right things, man. I mean, there's no
100%.
doubt about it. Now, I know this is going. I gave you a couple questions, and I apologize. I don't think I even hit any of the questions that I wanted to hit.
I have them here too. If you want me to go over them a little bit.
Yeah, but really, yeah. I mean, I think the first thing is, I mean, these guys, these guys need to know your story from, I think, West Allegheny to St. Francis to the Riverhounds to now captaining, our first team.
Yeah, definitely. I'll start off. So yeah, I grew up in Robinson area by the airport, went to West Allegheny, played soccer through their youth program and obviously for high school, but played for Century United growing up and then ODP as well. And I played on the Region 1 team for ODP for 3 years, and that's where I got seen by a lot of schools. Basically got seen there in other tournaments by St. Francis and eventually ended up committing there to play. After that, I played USL 2 for 2 teams. I played at IMG Academy for 2 seasons and then the Michigan Bucks for a season, where we won the championship that year, which was awesome. After college, I went to the Colorado Rapids preseason for 3 weeks out in Colorado, and that was such a cool experience. Unfortunately, got released after 3 weeks there. Ended up signing for a new professional league, which is disbanded now, called the American Soccer League by the Philadelphia Fury. Had a really good year there, and then I had options to either play in Iceland for the Rochester Rhinos or the Riverhounds, and I ultimately chose the Riverhounds because Pittsburgh's home, and I thought it would be so cool playing at Highmark and doing well there. So played there for 2 seasons. After that, I played pro indoor in St. Louis for 2 seasons, and that leads me to 2019. And then ever since that, I've been playing for the Hotspurs. So this is going to be my 4th season. So kind of a long road, but I'm 30 now. So, I guess I've been around the block and I'm getting old. So
yeah, Nick, we all are, brother. Now this, it's a nice resume. It's a nice resume to say the least. And, coming out of little old West Allegheny, which is my alma mater.
Yep.
It's not a soccer hotbed. It wasn't a soccer hotbed when I grew up. And, how do you go from, what were some of your inspirations or some of the things that happened when you were younger that, allowed you to want to play the sport and love the sport? And obviously, when you see your highlights, you can see that you can play a variety of passes. You can crack it from distance. You can score from insight. You can show your creativity with a back heel, with a flick here, or a volley there. How does somebody from West Allegheny, develop those skills?
Yeah, I fell in love with the game, obviously, at such a young age. I loved it from the get-go. But just, like you said, West A back then wasn't really a hotbed for soccer, and just a lot of training on my own. I would go out in the backyard or just do a field and either juggle or do finishing drills or hit it off the wall and work on the first touch. And then as well as that, just trying to play any chance I got. My parents were pretty helpful in paying for me to play indoor soccer or playing on this youth team, playing on that youth team, just playing literally any chance I got. Those 2 things were massive. And then I was also pretty into watching pro soccer back in the day too. It was a little harder to find back then, but still, any chance I got, I tried to watch whoever was on TV at the time, and basically went from there and just kept falling in love with it and just kept wanting to get out and play and get touches. So,
and you thought you thought of yourself, were you dreaming back in the day at McKee Field and the boys park up there? Were you thinking that you were moderate?
100%. Back when he was playing for Tottenham, way back then, and then even randomly, I always loved Colby Jones growing up, who played for LA Galaxy and I think played for the U.S. national team for a bit as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So,
yeah, man. Now, what would you tell a 15, 16, 17-year-old Nicky? What would you tell him right now that you know all this stuff and experienced 30-year-old that's gone through all these things? What would you tell a 15, 16, 17 Nicky?
Yeah, a couple things, but obviously some of this not repetitive, but like I'm gonna say huge for extra work. You have to get extra work, whether it's on your own or maybe stay 20 minutes, grab a buddy, stay 20, 30 minutes after training and just get some touches in, whether it's finishing or whatever. Because I think that goes such a long way, just extra training. Because you're not going to, personally for me, I don't think you can reach the next level by just training for, an hour a day or whatever. You need to put in the extra work on the weekends or whenever that is, whenever your free time is. Also, like I said, try and watch as many pro games as possible because you'll find something to study. You can take pictures of the players and try and mimic what they do. I know that helped me a lot. And then I think it's huge. Every time you go to a different level of soccer, like the next level, I just feel like the speed of play is faster, whether that's in possession with the ball on your foot or defending. People closing you down quicker or the speed, it just is huge. So just try and get used to playing fast in training or in a match. The other thing is be confident about yourself. I mean, you guys play for this club for a reason. There's no reason to doubt yourself or anything like that. Be confident because when you're confident, that's when you play at your best. Couple more things. Talk to the coaches, see what you can improve on. And like we said earlier, listen to them. They want what's best for you and the team. And then have a good attitude towards your team and your teammates and the game, because if you respect the game, it'll respect you back. And then the last thing I'd say is, I know certain positions like goalie, you can't have a second position, obviously, but if you're a field player, try and have a secondary position. I know that helped me a lot in looking for a college and playing at pro, the next level. I think if you can be, diverse and dynamic in positions, that can be huge for you. So those are just a couple of things. And if you want to go anything on that, Dan, go for it.
Nikki, that's a pretty exhaustive list. I mean, I was just going to say, I was going to talk about the Louisville trip, and we got to see their first team scrimmage. What was really the level? It was a Knoxville team, but it would have been your Michigan Bucks team would have beat that team, right? You would have beat Knoxville. You were playing at a higher level than Knoxville. Knoxville's a new club. It's USL League One.
Okay.
And Louisville City's USL, championship, and they want to win a championship. They won a championship in 2017. And they have championship facilities, man. I mean, the stadium was unbelievable, and the training facility and the fields, the training fields, and natural grass surfaces that are literally 100 by 100, so they can rotate the field every year 90 degrees. So there's not, they can take care of. I mean, it's just so thoughtful, right? And so much wonderful money put in there. But I digress. We're watching their first team, and just the sound of a good football match. You miss those things. The sound of a good football match. What it should sound like, the communication levels, the intensity, and being right there. For some of our guys, 15, 20 minutes away from a pretty good level, that was great. But not only that, it's the sound of the player striking the ball. You can close your eyes and hear, what a good football match should sound like, and that the pinging of the ball, and it's just you don't see it that much. But I do when I watched you, when I came in and started helping out the first team, now 3-4 years ago. Just a different level. Your ability, what I'm getting at, long story, is that when I hear a professional player hit the ball, it's just like music to my ears, and you have that ability to strike it on the money like 99 times out of 100. And why? How does that happen? Because that's the next level. I mean, we can get into the tactics and the X's and O's, and we could, you know, uh, you know, uh, try to be like Pep, and we can try to play like Pep's teams or like Klopp's teams, or we can have this all in our mind about how we want to play as a coach and as a player. And there's a bunch of players out there that are listening to this. I mean, you want to play a certain way, but you're not going to be able to play that way unless you have mastery over the ball. And Nikki Kolarek has mastery on the ball. So, I mean, how many hours? I mean, I know that you're talking about the fact that you're getting into your backyard and you're doing, you're practicing, off the wall. And any stories about you training on your own, or the things that you did so that you could, by the time that you were 18, 19, 20 years old, you were a master of the ball. You could hit any ball anywhere easily. I mean, that takes a lot of work.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, we had like a goal in our backyard, so obviously I did a lot of finishing drills, and I love to take long distance shots and strike the ball from range. Like, even if it's just that, I mean, it helps, because just anytime you can touch the ball and get around it, it's huge. I mean, I was a big fan of just getting by cement wall and also like juggling off it, playing two touch by myself.
By yourself. So you had the ability to go away from people. You didn't need a second or a third. You could just go by yourself, you and the ball, and just work out, right?
100%. I liked either way, whether you were with teammates or friends, but
right,
either way, by myself or with people. So,
yep.
And I don't know necessarily a certain like time length of it, but I would say if you can get out 2 days a week, or even 1 day a week, 2 days a week would be ideal with all your training and matches, just to get some touches. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like super strenuous on your body.
Right.
Just get the touches and get comfortable using the outside of your foot or the laces, or, different touches with maybe your thigh or your chest, something. I mean, anything can help. And I think that is one of the big things that helped me reach the next level, because, I mean, I think I'm decently athletic, but I'm only 5'8", 165 pounds. I wasn't going to like blow anybody out of the water with athletic ability or size. And I think my like work ethic and training by myself or with teammates outside of practice helped a ton. And I can't stress that enough.
No, 100%. I mean, this is where champions are developed. They're developed, when nobody's watching. That's the most important thing. And you can't do any of the things that your coach or your teammates want to do, and you can't play at the level that you want to play at unless you are masters of the ball and can do anything that you want to with the ball within your position, right? And you were talking about getting one or two positions, and I think the biggest thing that the guys can take away, one of many, because there's just been loads of gold nuggets here, man. I mean, this is just gold dust sprinkling. So I appreciate the your wisdom, sir. I mean, of course. The other thing is the positions, and knowing the position and knowing the responsibilities within that position, and be disciplined enough to know that there's X number of things that coach wants, 2 or 3, 4 things that coach wants out of that position today or yesterday or the next week. And the game plans change. Obviously there's specific tactics that the guys are going to have to know each game, but in general, as a winger, you have to do X, Y, and Z. So let's talk to the guys while we finish up here before questions. What positions did you play? And, what position kind of suited your super strengths best?
Yeah. So, after high school, going into St. Francis, they recruited me to play like an 8 or a 10. So I was like a center midfielder, basically. And, throughout there, I played 6, 8, and 10. My freshman, junior, and freshman, sophomore, junior year, and then my senior year, I played number 9 for him, and that's whenever I had that like breakout season and scored a bunch of goals. So I think at the next level, the pro coaches and even my coaches at the Michigan Bucks saw that I could play multiple positions, and that was like pretty big for me making it to the next step. And for the Riverhounds, I actually played right back for a couple matches, and didn't necessarily like it, to be fair, because I'm more of an attacking player, but just be willing to kind of try something if a coach points it out. Or, I mean, you guys are all good enough players where I think if you're playing a 6, you could jump up into the 8 or play a fullback or something like that. So I just think having an open
who was
mind.
the coach? Was it Paul Child? Did
No,
you have
it
Paul
was
Child?
Mark Steffens.
Oh, Steffens from Army. Was he at West Point? Was he at
Yes,
Army
he was at he was Navy's coach.
Navy? Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe under Steffens, the right back is kind of anchored. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing for Brazilian coach or for a Hotspurs or an Arsenal coach, you guys that are on the call, on the webinar here, how important it is to get forward, from that fullback position. That has to do with coaching, unfortunately, too. Not seeing,
Definitely.
There's a guy that has that attacking ability. Let's get him forward. Let's get him up the pitch. But yeah, guys, while I'm finishing up the one-on-one, throw some questions in the chat. Let's do that now. And I'll bring up the chat here, or the Q&A. I can do the Q&A too. I'm looking here, and there's no questions that are popped up right now, but I'll give you a minute or two to think about your questions, guys. And yeah, so super strengths. What's your super strengths, brother?
Yeah. I have that up as well. So I'd probably say definitely technique and first touch are massive for me. That's probably number 1. And then I would say work rate and effort that I put into, whether it's a training session or game. I would say those are my 2 super strengths for sure.
I think those are pro answers, Nikki. I mean, seriously, pro answers.
I try. I think I pride myself on those 2 things. Like I said, whether it's a training session or a match, I can always count on those things to be at the top of my game and just try and help the team or play the way I want to. So I think those are my 2. And I know the super strengths are something that you can depend on as a player, and I think are massive. So
yeah, I mean, that brings consistency to your play.
Right? Correct.
I mean, if you're playing to your super strengths and you're doing that, and of course, a professional's answer to that question, guys, for those who are listening out there, first touch and, and work ethic. First touch and work ethic. And of course, the ball striking ability, as well. So, yeah, you have that. You have those 2 or 3. Plus, I mean, if you're a 7, 9, and 11, what are we talking about, Nikki? What should be a 7, 9, and 11 do? I mean, what's one of the things he or she has to do?
So I would say being deadly around goal, obviously finishing your chances or creating chances, like final balls as well, crosses, or if you're a dynamic winger and can run at somebody, obviously 1v1 skills or speed or, mastering the ball technique on the dribbling.
You got to get in behind. You got to be able to run in behind. You got to be able to time your runs in behind.
Timing of runs is huge.
I mean, look at. I know you don't want to talk about it, but look at Rashford's goal yesterday. Look at Rashford's goal. It's and look at the ball that was delivered by Shaw and the ability for the guys to get in behind a Newcastle defense and head the ball home. Coming from a number 6, but yeah, you got to be able to run in behind, time it, and you got to, like you said, man, you have to be deadly in front of goal and get in front of goal. I know that I've been working with some of the other 6s recently, and we got some of the guys in front of goal recently. Like we've pulled them out of practice, 2 of them, or 3 of them. We pulled them out of practice, and they're just getting reps in front of goal. They need to. I mean, if you're not getting in front of goal, how are you going to score goals? And the one player who will remain nameless because I don't want to embarrass him here, but the guy scores 3 goals this weekend against Louisville City in 2 games. He, and then he was one of the best trainers on the pitch before, the week heading into the event. And he's been one of the best trainers. And he's not a captain. He doesn't wear the captain's armband, but he's doing his job. He's doing his job not only in his position, but he's doing it, on the field and scoring goals and getting product. Now we got a question for you, Nikki. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, good question by Costi here. How difficult was it to transition positions to go from one to another?
Yeah, good question, Costi. I would say a little difficult, obviously, for whenever I transitioned to right back, but I would say not so much in the midfield or in the front 3, just because I'm an attacking player. But every time I played a different position or got moved to it, I would just try and play kind of simple 1-2 touch to start off to get in the rhythm of the game or the match or whatever. And then obviously just staying tuned in with what your coach wants from each position. Like Dan was saying earlier, you got to know if you're an 8, you still got to understand what the 7 does defensively and attacking. And I think that was just a big part of it for me.
Well, Nikki, we were talking about it with Colin and Mikey Sullivan, the last 2 guys on in this player-to-player series was talking just that. Watching the whole game, watching, a recent game, and then not just watching yourself, but watching the other ones, your other mates, and how those relationships are developed, and the tempo, the rhythm, how the game changes, what you could have done, but not only what you could have done with your teammates in this situation. And I'm big on taking notes. I mean, if you're taking notes right now, you should be taking notes right now. Nikki has given you literally, I mean, I've written down some things, Nikki, that I just love, and I mean, he's giving you like 12 things, a dirty dozen here, man. I mean, it's great. So if you're taking notes and you're studying, then Costi, you're gonna know the positions even more, and then the responsibilities within those positions for sure. Let me see what else we got here, brother. I thought we had one more. Anything else, guys? Look at the chat here as well, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, I mean, these guys, like everybody in here, and just if you ever want to reach out to me, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to find me on like Instagram or Twitter. Just shoot me a DM if you have any like college questions or, I don't know, workout questions or whatever, because I think working out's pretty big as well nowadays, like strength training and even yoga and stuff. But I mean, I still have some connections in like the college game and stuff too. So if you need like a word or for me to put out a word or anything, shoot me a message and I'll give you some ideas or some information. So.
Well, thank you, sir. That's a huge help.
Yeah, no problem.
Much appreciated. Yeah, I mean, this does it, guys. This ends our 3-part series. We had Colin, we had Mikey and Nikki, and all 3 of you guys were special, man. And we love you, and we just can't thank you enough for spending your time this evening and sharing some of the experiences that you've had. What do you think? Another goal of the year coming up? I mean,
I hope so, man.
30 years old, Nikki. 30. But guys play until now. What do we got? Ronaldo? Where's Ronaldo at right now?
Oh, he's going to be like, what, 37 maybe?
Right? 7 more years, Nikki.
Yeah, still got it. We're going to have a big year this year.
Big year, man. I think there's a book that I want you to read. Okay. I want you to read, at least look at it, and
let me write it down.
I think it was probably, I'm about halfway through, and it's raw. I don't recommend it for the youth here, but I'm going to recommend. I'll text it over.
Okay.
I'll text it over. And then for the youth, there's one that's captain class. I recommend that for Nikki. I honestly, I'd recommend that for any age, right? Captain class. I'll send it over to the coaches, to the Hotspurs and Arsenal's coaches, and they can send over the image, if you can't find it. I think there's another captain class and maybe an additional phrase to the title. But it is wonderful. It's a good read, and I can't wait to get back on the field here, Nikki, with the first team. We got some guys that are in training and they're working out with some of our youth players. We've been working out with some of the 06s. We're going to see some of the 04s and 05s. Have you been impressed with any of them?
Oh yeah, 100%. The past couple of times, I think I've been out to maybe like 3 or 4 so far at TNA, and one at maybe no off season, and the quality has been there and the work rate too. I mean, everyone's getting after it, especially, I mean, even just like the dynamic 1v1 situations I've seen some of the players get out over their clever touches. I've been really impressed. So it's always good to play with the young guys as well. Got
to bring those guys up. This is the future of our club. Really, we got some excellent players in this group, and I love working with them. I'm humbled to work with them, and I think all of our staff is, and we just want them to, enjoy their football and, hear from our captain, our first team's captain, our club captain, is invaluable. So thank you, sir.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'll see you soon, my man.
Sounds good. All right. Hang in there.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.